Welcome back. We have heard a lot about Charles's early years at Westminster School. Let's hear how his early education wound up. Charles's progress continued to be good. And in 1721, on his 14th birthday, he was appointed a King's Scholar. This was the honor Charles had striven for since his first morning at Westminster. When he too had the opportunity of monitoring a group of new boys, he remembered exactly how he had felt when he was a stranger. Being in charge of younger children was a completely new experience for Charles. At home, he had always been the baby, somewhat spoiled by his older sisters. When he came to Westminster, how grateful he was to have Samuel there to turn to for direction and support. All these things Charles remembered when he finally became a King's Scholar. He determined that he would act in the stead of an older brother to the new boys, so that they would be proud to follow him. The result was that Charles endeared himself to the whole school. Therefore, when, in 1725, a new school captain had to be elected, he was chosen over the 400 other scholars for the top position. Now, there was no question which university Charles would attend. The captain of Westminster School automatically received a scholarship to Christ Church College at Oxford. The scholarship would not keep him in luxury, but it would suffice him for his living. At the close of that year, Garrett Wesley returned to Westminster School. Once again, Charles was summoned to the headmaster's rooms to meet his kinsman. Once again, they sat together on the brocade sofa. They looked at each other. Charles thought Garrett Wesley looked much the same, except that he was even stouter, and his face was somewhat more highly colored. Charles knew that he himself had altered considerably. He certainly wasn't a small, timid boy anymore. Well, said Garrett Wesley, clearing his throat, you've changed, young Charles. Charles's lips quirked, but he did not allow himself to actually smile. Yes, sir, I suppose I have, he said. Garrett Wesley sat forward, legs apart, his hands resting palm downward on his knees. I've just come from Epworth, he said. From Epworth, said Charles. Did you see my parents, sir? Are they well? They are well. I told your father, Charles, that I would like to make you my heir. Charles's heart began to race crazily. The moment he had waited for and dreaded had come. He sent you this letter, Garrett Wesley went on, handing a piece of paper to Charles. I hope your father merges his desires with mine. Charles took the paper, noticing that it was sealed with wax on which was the imprint of his father's ring. He broke the seal, then looked at his kinsman for permission to read. Garrett Wesley got to his feet. I'll go for a short stroll in the Dean's Walk, he said. Quickly, Charles scanned his father's words. Then he went back to the beginning and reread more slowly, trying to see the unspoken message between the lines. Epworth Rectory, June 1725. Dear son Charles, our kinsman, Garrett Wesley, has informed me that he wishes to make you heir to his estates and fortune. Acceptance, of course, means that you would live in Ireland. You would become a member of the landed gentry, certain of taking your place among the great men of the time, for with great wealth anything is possible. The alternative is certain poverty, for no one of the English Wesleys can help you further. Whatever you make of your life will be your doing and yours alone. The decision must be yours. And may the Lord God guide you in your choice. Your affectionate father, Samuel Wesley. Charles folded the letter carefully, being sure to follow the original creases, then as carefully unfolded it again to look at his father's words once more. The decision must be yours. The decision must be yours. The challenge of those words beat over and over in Charles's mind, seemingly in time to his quickened heartbeat and labored breathing. He seemed to see the whole past 14 years roll in front of his eyes. He thought of his parents, of his sisters and his brothers. He thought of Samuel in particular. Samuel, who had been all the family he had seen in almost 10 years. Could he leave England, perhaps never to see Samuel again? Did he really want to be a country squire when it came down to that? Charles had, of course, unconsciously been considering such questions ever since Garrett Wesley's surprising first visit. Now the answer came in a flash. It was no. He did not want to be a country squire. What he did want was to go on to Oxford and see what opportunities beckoned from there. After all, anybody who had been captain of Westminster School could be important in some other phase of life too. Garrett Wesley returned just as Charles was beginning to get restless waiting for him. "Well," the Irishman said eagerly, "you look as if your decision pleased you." "It does, sir," said Charles. Garrett Wesley rubbed his hands together. His face beamed with a proud smile. "You accept, of course," he said. "Oh, you'll make a son a man can be proud of." "No, sir," said Charles quietly. "I thank you, and I am deeply grateful to you. But I must say no. I do not wish to leave England for Ireland, or to give up Oxford for Trinity College. I feel that my future is here." The color all drained from Garrett Wesley's face. "You reject my offer?" he cried. "You actually reject it, sir?" "I do, Mr. Wesley," said Charles quietly. "I must." The old Irishman was spluttering now, and Charles began to fear his kinsman would have a fit. Quickly, he rushed to the sideboard and poured a glass of port. "Drink this, sir," he cried. Garrett Wesley drank, and gradually his spluttering subsided. By the time Dr. Freund came to see how they were getting on, the Irishman was in control of himself. "He's turned me down, headmaster," Garrett Wesley said. "So I must look elsewhere for an heir." The headmaster looked at Charles. Charles met his glance frankly. Dr. Freund nodded. "So Charles will go to Christ Church College," he said, "and there he will be a credit to us all." Charles bowed his head. "I pray so, sir. I pray so."